Hello, and welcome to the Channel CEO Podcast, the show that brings you behind the scenes with the CEOs and key executives building the technologies that impact the global IT channel. My name is Kevin Lancaster, CEO of Channel Program. Today's episode, we'll speak with someone I admire from the channel. I've gotten to know him over the last couple of years, Mr. Dan Wensley, Chief Executive Officer at ScalePad. If you don't know ScalePad, they provide the tools, the software tools that help you scale your business and deliver better client experience, no matter where you are in your business journey. If you want proof on what kind of impact they've had in the marketplace, they support 10,000 partners across 80 countries and help to manage more than 55 million assets. If you want some additional social proof on that, check out the more than 30 product reviews on channelprogram.com. Some of them are quite impressive. Today, we'll discuss Dan's 20-year journey in the channel, building and running channel-specific solutions ranging from cybersecurity with Passportal, managed workplace with Level Platforms, and most recently, as CEO of ScalePad, where they're moving fast. With investments from Integrity Growth Partners, they've been in growth mode, buying industry-leading solutions, including Backup Radar and Lifecycle Insights. So it's a heck of an intro. As mentioned, he's done some pretty amazing things. And bring up Dan to the show.
Thanks, Kevin.
How are you, sir?
Better than I deserve, as usual. How are you doing today?
Doing well. So whereabouts in the world are you today?
I am in central Ontario, Canada today, so just a couple hours north of Toronto.
Fires, I guess the residual from the fires, the smoke down in the Mid-Atlantic. How's it up there?
Oh, we've been hit brutally hard. Both Quebec and Ontario this year have had unprecedented volume of fires. In fact, yesterday, even out on the lake, it's just a haze everywhere. So it's really been affecting both the air quality and obviously the impact to the forest here in both northern Ontario and in Quebec. And the smoke's been getting down as far as I think into Atlanta from Canada. So it's an incredible, unprecedented time for us, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, hopefully that all gets contained and resolved quickly. Just another thing we got to all deal with. But anyway, moving on. So like you've got a pretty incredible background. I mean, 20 years plus of channel specific, but even going back to early days of the internet and kind of I guess whether more desktop or tabletop pieces of hardware. So take us back through some of the early initiatives that you were working on.
Yeah, it's really been an incredible journey for me in technology, and I got into this by absolute chance. I was actually a marketing consultant for a company doing marketing to the newspaper industry back in sort of the mid-90s. And the only reason I stumbled into technology and ultimately the channel was I understood subscription-based businesses because of that experience. So the early days of the ISP, there was very few who knew that, that side of the business, the subscription business, the recurring revenue, the 12-month service contracts and that kind of thing. So it was really the newspaper industry that gave me sort of the background and the experience to make my way and get my first email address back in the day. And it's back when moving to a 33.6 baud modem was the big new innovation of the time, and living through Y2K. And I've been a student and admirer of the advancement in ongoing technology ever since, and been truly blessed to work with primarily emerging technology businesses. I seem to have gravitated to the new advancements, whether it be cloud or security or what were the early days of managed services through that transition. And it was really it was MCI WorldCom that gave me sort of a global exposure into the channel and into the IT services business, Kevin. It was a great experience to walk into, MCI WorldCom in Canada was run as its own opco. And I was challenged with starting the first channel program here in Canada for them. And it was the best gig, because all I did is go down and spend a month in the US and figure out how they were doing it there and brought it to Canada. So it was a fun time until Bernie Bernie took us for a bit of a ride.
Yeah, that was that's unfortunate. That I spent a little time in telco and in and around that space, and so yeah, I understand that was pretty painful. Um, so I think one of the hallmarks of a well-rounded CEO is experience in different industries and different technology segments, and so you go from kind of internet, telephony. You've got in there. We're talking about some of the community work you've done, some of the stuff you've done with Level, obviously, identity access management, cybersecurity with Passportal, and then kind of now rounding it out with LifeCycle. I guess you talked about some a progression kind of in your career, right? Kind of had this understanding of subscription billing, and then kind of in that kind of evolved into this channel model. I mean, as you were looking, looking back at some of the positions that you chose to take, were they all geared toward some type of outcome or some type of path, some destiny that you're kind of looking toward, or is it just interesting, right product, right time, and kind of take a swag at it?
Yeah, I've been blessed and been lucky. Whether I can't profess to have had the vision of it, what I've always been able to again find somehow is, and what settled it for me with every the position and organization that I've been involved in, is I could understand it. I could see the vision for the MSP community, understand. I go back 20-year relationships with some of the early founders in the MSP market, and my early day mentors in the industry, from Ingram Micro or TD Synnex, or all the way back to Cisco days and those kind of things. That there was a clear understanding that we were going to need to continue to, and it would continue to evolve, just because we were in technology, which is always evolving, but the business models of the IT service delivery organizations continued to evolve. And I just got, again, probably lucky of being able to comprehend some of the new emerging technologies, whether that be the early days of RMM. Rob Ray and I used to run around, and the first question we were asked is, what does RMM stand for? What does MSP mean? That was the definition. It was generating a recurring revenue model from a defined service. I just, again, by luck and by my own comprehension, was able to say, yeah, this is something where the business will evolve into, and our industry will evolve into. There's just no other path. It was hard to see back in 04 or 05, the early days of RMM and PSA, but I truly believed every MSP on the planet, or every IT service provider on the planet, would ultimately need to be running these technologies, these applications, to remain relevant. And that was the way. We've gone through all these incredible hype cycles, Kevin, whether it was Y2K, whether it was the early days of internet adoption, and the convergence from value-added reseller into solution provider with connected networks, into the more modern service delivery model of automation and remote service, rather than on-call plumber type of industry, which we really did run early on. The MSPs and IT service providers, the early days, they needed things to break, and they needed to have that phone call so they could roll their truck, and that was the revenue model. So it's been fun to see that, and again, blessed to see it. And I think what we're doing here at ScalePad is, whether it's 2.0 or 10.0 version of the service delivery model, the applications that are used, the advancement in automation and standardization, it's been an incredible journey. I still consider myself a student of the industry. You and I will be down at ChannelCon next week, and again, working with other leaders, and even be able to learn some more next week and take that back to our businesses. So that's been the fun part for me over the last 20 plus years.
Anything over the last 20 years, I mean, or anything surprise you about the industry? Maybe obviously it's evolved quite significantly, but are there things that haven't changed over the last 20 years, or maybe even inversely, or what's been most impressive? What's changed the most over the last 20 years?
Yeah, it's an incredible dichotomy between those two. I was talking to a colleague I worked with at Level Platforms early days, just yesterday. And he went off and had a successful career in the real estate industry. But is actually looking to come back. And we were talking a little bit about exactly that topic. And I said to him, I said, Tim, I am still using some of the foundational material that we developed in the early 2000s to talk about what's going on. I think the consistent part, I think I've already touched on a little bit, the continued drive to deliver better value to customers has been at the cornerstone of what every now MSP looks to do. That hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm.
The desire to continue to automate their own internal businesses and get better practitioners of their own business has not changed. What has changed is the use of technology by the IT service providers themselves to run their business, to deliver those values. So that's been the innovation side. But I think the fundamental, and you see it on our website and alluded to it here at ScalePad, ultimately, we're just trying to help MSPs operate a better business and deliver more value to their customers, which I think is the consistent theme that I've seen over the last 20 plus years. How we do that has changed. You know, what you guys did with ID Agent, the innovations in technologies, the hype cycles around and requirements of security, the hype cycles around managed services, cloud, those have all been the drivers for some of these changes, but the fundamentals have pretty well remained the same.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was thinking fundamentals, right? Everything is kind of moved forward, but at the end of the day, there's still the fundamentals, the blocking, the tackling, the challenges of technology identification, scale, margins, basic management of, your vendors and your, I mean, we started out as warranty master and evolved and kind of much broader than where you were originally. But yeah, it's improving the fundamentals and making those more fluid. I think is where this industry is going. You guys have clearly struck a nerve there.
Yeah, we really, it was an incredible journey just to come into it, because as you mentioned, Warranty Master, when I joined in 2019, it was Warranty Master. It was a warranty lookup tool. And my first conversations with Chris Day, the founder, he's the founder of IT Glue, and had a lot of respect, obviously, for his accomplishments in the industry, ran huge MSPs and was ultimately successful. And I almost went in with a chip on my shoulder, Kevin, going, look, I've been in emerging technology. I've done, Passportal with cybersecurity and the early days of RMM. Warranty lookups don't sound all that interesting or innovative, I would say. The impact was absolute. The requirements was there. But when we peeled back the onion on the technology, and Chris remains a founder of the organization and is our CPO. He's still our chief product officer and guiding the vision of the technology. But when we talked about it over an 1-hour conversation, it was incredible to see the vision that he had, and we've now implemented over the last couple of years on the platform, and how we could deliver solutions that were intertwined, interactive, and in each of the, what we call them swim lanes, Kevin, can have a major impact on the industry while doing it better. One of our core values is find a better way. And that's both internally, operation, but mostly in the technology. How can we find a better way to deploy the technologies, build the technologies, and supply them to the MSP?
Did I lose you for a sec? Oh, there we are. Back. I did lose you. Oh my goodness.
That's you or me. I don't know who that was.
Probably me. It was a show first. I apologize.
No problem.
You were on a roll there too.
It could have been me.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll edit that out. So yeah. So we're good to go. Strength is pretty incredible. The strength of the team and the vision that you guys have. You speaking kind of the strength of the team. You've got, arguably some of the most important players in the industry on the team. Obviously starting with Chris, and obviously Chris had tremendous background with some of his previous startups and exits. He knows obviously this space extremely well. But then you've got a couple of other A players on your team that probably the industry, probably some of the more recognizable faces in the industry. And so I guess talk about the strength of the team that you guys have there.
Yeah, I learned very early on the strength of people. I've been blessed to have, worked with and brought in many into the channel to do some pretty incredible things and what they've done with their careers. And at this stage of my career, to have the opportunity to bring in these A players, as you mentioned, whether it's Luis, Eric Torres, our COO, who's got 20 years experience in the MSP space. We've really, as we did an onboarding for 18 new employees yesterday with the ELT members. And one of the questions that was asked is, hey, how many of you guys at the ELT have run MSPs? And it was 50%. So wow. It's incredible. And it's, again, the power of people is paramount to the entire industry. It's one of my cornerstone pillars that I build businesses on, and been blessed to be able to do that. So people are paramount, and it's fun at this stage of my career to work with just incredible leaders and incredible people who've already had a big impact on the business and are now applying that to the ScalePad community.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys had a nice event in 2022. Get Integrity. Growth partners come in and invest in kind of the growth, doubling down on your vision and what you guys are looking to accomplish. So you talk about that process and maybe what they bring to the table and any maybe words of advice for others out there looking to go down that private equity path or investment path.
Yeah, it was an incredibly disciplined process, but also very enlightening. You're aware of the interest on the financial side for investment in our space, and there's been so many proven success stories. We were a very profitable, well-run, again, prior even to my obviously arrival, business growing very rapidly. So we had a lot of interest, and we took the discipline and took the opportunity we did, almost 80 interviews with potential investors, and finding the right partner was mission critical. It wasn't about the money. It was finding the right partner with the right guidance and the right sort of view on the space to help us take the next step. And we found that with IGP. As I was telling you earlier, we had a board meeting last week, and their support and also guidance and help and assistance in the business has been paramount to our success. Right on the heels of their minority investment in the business, they've helped us support first and foremost the acquisition of Backup Radar, which was our first acquisition, and we incubated that for over a year. We needed to prove to ourselves and to them, and most importantly to our partners, that we could run a multi-product business. We could, interact those applications together, add incremental value, which is really our vision across all the new applications that we've recently acquired. And then IGP was right there behind us and we rattled off 3 pretty big ones in 1 quarter. Of the beginning of this year, and frankly, they were all done within less than 2 months of each other, signed and done and announced. So it's been an incredible journey, but we've tried and maintained sort of a view that we need to prove each step of the model before we get ahead of our skis, and success can kill as quickly as failure. If you just go out and get ahead of your skis and aren't able to either deliver the partner experience that our partners have come to expect, or aren't able to operate internally in order to support these acquisitions, then we might as well not do them. So we've been as disciplined as we can, I think, Kevin, doing these acquisitions and making sure we're providing value to both the incoming organization and people, as well as to their partners, as well as our obviously our greater partner community.
Yeah, look, I think that's one of the hardest things to accomplish. If you look at broadly or globally at the statistics, the success rates of acquisitions and integrations of those acquisitions, and what those things, what they look like a year or 2 years down the line. You see it's more often than not that the acquisitions go sideways for it could be a myriad of reasons, but it sounds like even kind of early on, because you guys achieved some pretty significant growth, as you're saying, as you were coming in, and then you're in a position. It sounds like a fortunate position to be able to be more, a little bit more picky or choosy about who you saddle up with. Because to your point, right, it's not about the money; it's about the resource and support and some of the intangibles that they bring. But it sounds like you had that kind of element of discipline and kind of focused growth, and you don't pull off, raising money, bringing money in, whether it's minority or majority, and then go down this path of acquisitions and especially making several acquisitions within a short time frame. You don't do that without discipline and kind of focused execution. So I think if there's any kind of I don't know, words of wisdom out there for folks that are thinking about going down that path, it's really making sure you have your ducks in a row early on. And then, the more that you have it structured, the more you have it, packaged up front, the easier it is downstream, for these acquisitions and integrations and ultimately success as they're blended into the organization. So any other big acquisitions or announcements throughout the remainder of the year?
Yeah, we're certainly not done. I mean, we invested, to your point. We brought an MSP veteran into the business who had done dozens and dozens of acquisitions and implementations, and that was part of the strategic role, was to make sure we brought somebody in who knows how to do this. We brought in literally a VP of M&A and integrations to make sure that process, again, for the owners of these businesses coming into ours, as well as their customers, as well as the impact it was going to have on our own operating business, was going to be paramount. But to answer your question, we're not done. We're very strategic. We announced basically a technology acquisition just a couple of weeks ago with Adept, and that'll come in under our backup monitoring and services swim lane. So we're very defined and refined in our process on what we're looking for, Kevin, and why. And if we can find suitable technologies and businesses that fit that, then we will acquire. If not, we'll build. But no, so we're definitely not done on the acquisition side. We're acquiring to build out our solution stack appropriately, that we feel and have the vision to deliver into the marketplace. So there will be more to come. I can't say we're going to do 3 in 1 month again. I kind of hope not, but you never know. I think we'd been working on those for 16, 18 months, some of them, and they just kind of all came to fruition at the same time. And it's gone very, very well. But it's a lot. That's a big lift for any organization. We were 110 people at the time. And these were, people on the people side, they were relatively small, 6 to 10 people each. But it's a big impact on all parties.
Absolutely. So you guys are kind of in this platform space now, right? I mean, you guys, I think that's that's a big area of focus. I think not just for private equity, but for vendors in general, is like kind of getting to this space where they have platform and can maximize cross sell of solutions. And so if you had to be a little forward looking and without revealing kind of the acquisition targets or stuff like that, but what do you look like in 12 months, right? Do you define it as like different swim lanes, different buckets? Is it one holistic platform of solutions? So how would you describe the vision and where you guys are going here over the next year?
Yeah, it's really both. The platform play, quote unquote, is too ambiguous a term, I think. We have a couple of core strategies. So first of all, the swim lanes that we've decided on, asset management obviously has done incredibly well from our foundational technology with Warranty Master, now called Lifecycle Manager. We made the acquisition with Lifecycle Insights, as they had added a whole bunch of attributes on the customer end with the QBRs and VCIO capabilities. So we added to that swim lane. Backup Radar got us into really the monitoring and management and automation of backup service delivery for MSPs. Cognition 360 was getting into the business intelligence side and data out of the business and insights, and just again, the next kind of evolutionary requirements for MSPs is to understand their business and their operation even more, and C360 was delivering that. And then obviously in security, what we acquired with Control Map, which by the way has blown away every expectation we had. We set some pretty lofty targets here at ScalePad. The adoption of Control Map, because it was really initially really built as an enterprise solution. And we spent a lot of time making sure it was designed and implemented and retooled for the MSP business and industry and user. That solution has absolutely exceeded, triple digit our expectation on it. We're investing more there. But to answer your question, those are the 5 defined swim lanes, along with our services business, which was, the cornerstone of what Warranty Master was doing, was delivering these extended warranties. And we've expanded that with asset workstation assurance, expanded our warranty services business, as well as the IT disposal, which is really an exciting area for the business for some other reasons. But to answer your question, we do see a couple of adjacent swim lanes that we see opportunities in. But the bigger picture is the technology and the underlying, what we mean by platform is the ability for these applications to actually share value and incremental value across each other. And I'll give you the example for what we did with Lifecycle Manager and Backup Radar. Backup Radar is a backup monitoring tool across 300 different backup solutions. Great solution used by thousands and thousands of MSPs. But what it wasn't able to do was identify an asset that should have a backup applied to it that doesn't. Well, there's the core value of one of the things Lifecycle Manager can do, our asset SaaS product. So we actually populated that data and cross-pollinated it with Backup Radar. So one of the greatest innovation features that Backup Radar's had in the last quarter was the ability to actually identify devices that don't have backups applied to them yet. And that's in the Lifecycle Manager. So we see the ability to do that. If you think about, you mentioned off the top, 55 million assets under management. Imagine that data and information and how it might impact the business intelligence tool of Cognition 360, how it might impact the compliance tool of what Control Map is doing. So to be able to share data back and forth as a true integrated platform, we see immense value in long term.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, the insights that you can share, across what's being backed up, what should be, and then to your point, kind of that BI space is, I mean, that's powerful. It's really powerful stuff. So what else should we know about ScalePad? What's the commercial for the MSPs out there?
I think we talked a lot about the themes today, Kevin. We're solely focused on the MSP growth and success, and that is measured by how well they're doing with their customers. So we really see it, there's lots of good automation tools for MSPs out there and good applications that they use internally. We really want to extend that out and make sure that that is resulting in more value to their customers. We see that as the ultimate win, and making sure that we're not just helping them maybe automate something or standardize a process, but how does that equate right back down to their end user and drive real value for the MSP? Because as we talked about earlier, one of the consistencies, and I love what you guys were doing and did at ID Agent in this realm, is I watched, I spent many events, at a booth next to you or watching what ID Agent was doing. And what always blew me away was the MSP immediately knew the value that their customer was going to get out of that solution. And it was just to watch the lineup of MSPs for ID Agent was impressive. So I took a lot from that, and again, constant student of the industry, and I appreciate what you guys have taught me and everything you're doing here at the channel program.
Yeah, well, certainly appreciate it. Those were some pretty wild days. It was a wild ride. So we'll definitely be seeing you here next week out in Vegas at ChannelCon.
Yes.
I encourage everybody listening, watching to check out ScalePad and what they're doing. It's been awesome just watching you guys just make all the right moves. I'm sure behind the scenes there's some that maybe not thought were the right moves, but externally you guys are absolutely killing it. And and testament to again the global reach you guys have, number of partners, and the ability to affect multiple acquisitions in such a short period means that you guys are world class with your operations, and so it's great watching you guys going up there and kicking butt. So well done to you, and thanks for taking some time today. I know you're pretty busy, but appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you out here at an event here soon.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate the opportunity and the conversation. Cheers.
You got it. Thanks.